Dear students, in this class we will discuss about proteins. Before going to the main point, we will revise what and all we discussed in last class. In last class we have discussed about polysaccharides, right? In polysaccharides we discussed about, there are three polysaccharides we discussed, those are starch, cellulose and glycogen. In starch again there are two parts are there, one is amylose and amylopectin, and the difference between amylose and amylopectin we have discussed, and we studied about the structure of amylose and amylopectin, and even the cellulose which is present in plant, right. So, there are so many uses of cellulose we have studied, and the structure of cellulose is made up of beta D glucose, right. And we discussed about glycogen. Glycogen means which is stored in our body, and when we do fasting, and the glycogen break into glucose and it gives the energy for all of us. And even we have discussed about the importance of carbohydrates, right. And in last class I have given some assignment. Now we will see the answers for those assignment. Okay. So, the first one question, derive the Haworth structure of the monomer in cellulose. Okay, we know the monomer, which monomer is present in cellulose, that is beta D glucose, that is the structure of the beta D glucose. And next second one question is, what are reducing sugars? Is sucrose is reducing sugar? Give reason. So, sugars that reduce tolerance reagent in Fehling solution are called reducing sugars. We have discussed already this one. And sucrose is not a reducing sugar because both the reducing groups of glucose and fructose in sucrose are involved in glycosidic bond formation. That is why sucrose is not a reducing sugar. Okay. And next question is, write the Haworth structure of sucrose and maltose. The first structure is the Haworth structure of the sucrose, okay, and the second structure is maltose. Okay, that is a combination of 2 alpha D glucose. And fourth question is, which carbohydrate is called invert sugar? Okay, so sucrose is called a invert sugar. Okay, this is very important for even 1 mark question. And next question is, write the difference between amylose and amylopectin. So, amylose means is a water soluble component and consists 15 to 20% of starch, and chemically amylose is a long unbranched chain with 200 to 1000 alpha D glucose units held by C1 C4 glycosidic linkage. Amylopectin means it is insoluble in water, consists 80 to 85% of starch, and it is a branched chain polymer of alpha D glucose units in which chain is formed by C1 C4 glycosidic linkage, whereas branching occurs by C1 C6 glycosidic linkage, and these all are the answers for the previous assignment. Now in this class we will discuss about the proteins. So what is mean by proteins? Why we have to study about the proteins? So in this class we will study the whole the importance of proteins and why we have to, and proteins, what is the importance of proteins, why these are essential and all we will study. So proteins means in Greek, that word is a proteosis, means primary or prime importance, means it is a very essential for our life. Proteins are the most abundant biomolecules of the living system. Proteins are the fundamental basis of structure and functions of life and required for growth and maintenance of body. All proteins are polymers of alpha amino acids. For example, you can see the sources of proteins are milk, cheese and pulses and peanuts, fish, meat, etc. So here, see, proteins are the word proteosis. Okay, proteosis word came from Greek, right? So it means important or primary importance, means it's very important for our body. It will helps to grow the body here. Okay, for example, you can give milk. Okay, in milk protein is present, and pulses and cheese, okay, and peanuts, fish, okay, and meat, etc. You can give the example for proteins, means in these all the protein are present, okay. So, see, proteins means without proteins, no, we cannot grow properly, okay. The proteins is very essential for our body to grow properly, okay. So, next, all amino acids have trivial names. Trivial means common name, which usually reflect the property of that compound or its source, okay. That name which will come from the from its source. So, glycine is so named since it has a sweet taste. In Greek, glycose means sweet. So, that is why it is named as glycine. And tyrosine was first obtained from cheese. In Greek, tyros means cheese here, okay. So, here these are glycine and alanine, both are the amino acids here, okay. So, proteins are consist of amino acids. Amino acids means which contain amine group and carboxyl group, that is functional group. Those two are functional groups. Based on position of amino group with respect to carboxyl group, the amino acids can be classified as alpha, beta, gamma and delta and so on. Only alpha amino acids are obtained on hydrolysis of proteins. So, the alpha amino acid, one example I have given, beta amino acids, that is one more example. So, now here this amino acids. Amino acids means the compound which is having amine group and carboxyl group, okay. These two are functional groups, okay. These two are functional groups. In previous classes you all have studied these functional groups, right. So, the amino acids means the compound which is having amine and carboxyl as functional groups. For example, you can give this is a glycine structure, okay, glycine, okay. See here, this is a amino acid and which is having amine and carboxylic acid as a functional group, okay. These are called amino acids, okay, means proteins are consist of amino groups here. And here we have classified amino acids as alpha, beta, gamma and delta, okay. These are the classified and so on, okay. Alpha amino acids means see here, this is a general formula. You just consider this is a general formula. R means alkyl or aryl group here, that is a chain which is continued, okay. And this is alpha carbon atom, okay, which which attach to carboxylic acid and amine group, okay. Beta means, suppose if one more carbon atom is present, okay, this carbon atom is called beta carbon atom. And if chain continued like this, and we can name the carbon atoms as alpha, beta, gamma and delta, so on, okay. So, this is all about amino acids. So, now we can see some amino acids which are very important, okay. So, here see the name of the amino acids and characteristic feature of side chain, that is a R, and 3 letter symbol and 1 letter code. And glycine, okay, glycine, that is a R, the side chain is H is there and 3 letter symbol is GLY and 1 letter code is G. And alanine, that is side chain R, that is a CH3 and 3 letter symbol is ALA and 1 letter symbol, that is a code is A. And valine, that is characteristic side chain, that is CH3 twice CH and 3-letter symbol is VAL and 1-letter code is V. You can see like that leucine structure, isoleucine structure, adenine structure and lysine structure. Like this there are 20 amino acids are there in your textbook. You can see the rest of the amino acids, and now you can see on the screen I put for some of the amino acids as a star. Okay, you just remember those starred amino acids. I will tell you why I put star for those amino acids here. Okay, so next one we will study about the classification of amino acids. So amino acid based on relative number of amine and carboxylic groups in their molecule, we divided into 3 types. First one is acidic, second one is basic and third one is neutral. What is mean by acidic amino acids? Acidic amino acids means more carboxylic groups as compared to amino groups. Means acidic amino acids contains more carboxylic groups as compared to amino groups. Basic amino acids means more amino groups present than carboxyl groups. Neutral amines means equal number of amino and carboxylic groups are present. Okay, see here we classified the amino acids into 3 types based on the number of amino group and carboxylic group. So we divided into 3 parts. Okay, first one is acidic amino acids and basic amino acids and neutral. Okay, acidic amino acids means the amino acid which contains more carboxylic acid than amino group, like COH group will be more than NH2 group, okay, amine group. And basic amino acids means the amino acids which contains amino groups more than carboxylic groups. Okay, and neutral amino acids means equal number of NH2 groups and carboxylic acid groups are present. Okay, this is very important. Okay, we have to the amino acids we classified on the based on the number of carboxylic acid groups and amino groups. Okay, amino acids again divided into non-essential amino acids and essential amino acids. So what is mean by non-essential amino acids? The amino acids which are synthesized in the body, and essential amino acids means amino acids which cannot be synthesized in the body and must be obtained through diet. Okay, and here see these are the very important amino acids are classified essential and non-essential. Okay. So again amino acids we have divided into 2 types. One is non-essential amino acids and one more is essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids means the amino acids which are synthesized in the body, and essential amino acids means amino acids which cannot be synthesized in the body and must be obtained through diet. So here amino acids first we divided on the based on number of carboxylic acid group and amino group. So now again we divided into 2 types. One is non-essential amino acids and essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids means the amino acids which are synthesized in the body. Okay, means itself the amino acids itself it will synthesized in the body. And essential amino acids means the amino acids which are not synthesized in the body and it will we will take through the diet. Okay. So, in the last slide I told you to remember the star, the name, the amino acids which are having the star mark, those all are essential amino acids. Okay. For example, you can give the lysine that is having a star mark, that is example for the essential amino acids, and some of the amino acids which are synthesized in our body, those are called non-essential amino acids. So, next one we will study about the properties of amino acids. So, amino acids are colorless in nature and crystalline solids. Water, these are the water soluble, high melting solids and behave like salt rather than simple amines or carboxylic acid. This is very important. Okay, why they will act as a salt? Because the amino acids are having amino group and carboxylic group, but though they have carboxylic group and amino group, they will act as a salt here. And in aqueous solution, the carboxyl group can accept a proton, giving rise to a dipolar ion known as deuter ion. So, this is neutral but contains both positive and negative charges. Okay, this is very important for examination. What is deuter ion? See the structure there carefully. Even in examination, they will ask what is deuter ion and write the structure of deuter ion. Okay. So, see here, this is one amino acid group, okay, one amino acid compound. This is the amine group and this is the carboxylic acid group. And here there are lone pair of electrons are there. We know nitrogen will be having lone pair of electrons, right. So, here in aqueous solution means the solution which is having solvent as a water. In that, this one, okay, it will convert as see here, this will accept a proton. Here one proton, hydrogen is there. So, it will take one proton, it will become a NH3 plus and it is a losing one hydrogen and it gets a negative charge on the oxygen, right. So, RCH NH3 plus and COO minus. Okay. Here this is having both the charges. Okay. Even plus is also there, even minus is also there. This dipolar compound is called the deuter ion. Okay, this is very important. We have to know the structure of the deuter. Deuter ion means the compound which is having positive and negative charges on the compound. Okay, say example, they may ask even in examination also by giving particular name, like write the structure, write the deuter ion of the alanine. Alanine is a amino acid. Okay, very carefully you have to write the deuter ion for the respective compounds. Okay. So, next, in deuter ionic form, amino acids show amphoteric behavior as they react both with acids and bases. We know what is mean by amphoteric acid. Amphoteric acid means the compound which act as the acid as well as base. Okay. So, except glycine, all other naturally occurring alpha amino acids are optically active since the alpha amino acid atoms is asymmetric. Amino acids exist both in D and L forms. Most naturally occurring amino acids have L configuration. L amino acids are represented by writing the NH2 group on left hand side. We have discussed D and L form while studying about the glucose, right. D and L, that is related to the plus and minus. D means it is related to the plus, that is a dextrorotatory. L configuration, that is related to minus, that is a levorotatory. L configuration means that is the NH2 which is present in the left side here. Okay. And next one, structure of proteins. Okay. So, the proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids. Okay. Polymers means that is a long chain compound. Okay. So, it is a polymer of alpha amino acids and they are connected to each other by peptide bond or peptide linkage. Okay. Chemically, peptide linkage is an amide formed between COH, that is a carboxylic acid group, and amine group. When carboxyl group of glycine combines with the amino group of alanine, we get a dipeptide glycyl alanine. Okay. See the structure there, that is first one is glycine structure and second one is alanine structure. So, when we combine glycine and alanine, there is a peptide bond or peptide linkage is formed. So, the glycine having a one amino group, okay, one carboxylic, and here is also having a one amino group, one carboxylic. When we combine both, okay, when we combine both, the peptide linkage is formed here. Okay, just see the structure here. So, this is called peptide linkage. Okay, CO and NH together it is called peptide linkage, that is the bond, whatever the bond is formed here, that is a peptide linkage between the glycine and alanine by eliminating with water molecule. See here OH from the carboxylic acid and H from the NH2 group. So, there is a water molecule is eliminating here by forming CONH group and CONH bond, that is called peptide bond or peptide linkage. Okay. So, like this there are, this is called the peptide linkage, that is like this, that a dipeptide, polypeptide, a tetrapeptide is there, we will study now. So, tripeptide means the contains 3 amino acids and 2 peptide bonds here. Tripeptide means contains 3 amino acids. We have to take 3 amino acids. When you take 3 amino acids, there are 2 peptide bonds will form there. Tetrapeptide means contains 4 amino acids and 3 peptide bonds and so on. Okay, we have to remember very carefully, when we take 4 amino acids, only 3 peptide linkage or bonds will form there. So, suppose if you take pentapeptide here, pentapeptide means there is a 5 amino acids will be present and 4 peptide bonds will be formed there. Here polypeptide, polypeptide means contains more than 10 amino acids here. A polypeptide with more than 100 amino acid residues having molecular mass higher than 10,000 unit is called a protein here. Okay, protein means it is a polypeptide, we already mentioned, right. It means it is having more than 10,000 unit here. And in that example, insulin, you can take an example, insulin is a protein, contains 51 amino acids here. Okay. So, this is all about the structure of proteins. Okay. So, classification of proteins. The proteins are classified into main 2 types, one is fibrous proteins, one more is globular proteins. What is meant by fibrous proteins? The polypeptide chain run parallel and are held together by hydrogen and disulfide bonds. It means those are look like fiber like structure. So, fibrous proteins are generally insoluble in water. For example, keratin, which is present in hair, wool and silk, that is insoluble in water. If you put the hair in water, it will not soluble, right. So, for example, one more is myosin, which is present in the muscles, that is also insoluble in the water. See here, fibrous protein, these will run parallelly. Parallelly means at the same distance and same height, okay, and they are held together by hydrogen bond or sulfide bond. Both polypeptide chains held by hydrogen bond and sulfide bond, okay. This is called fibrous proteins, okay. These are insoluble in water, okay. It means they will not soluble in the water. For example, you can take keratin, okay. Keratin is a protein which is present in hair, wool and silk, okay. It is also insoluble in water. And you can take one more example, that is a myosin. Myosin is a protein which is present in the muscles, okay, and it is also insoluble in the water, okay. This is all about fibrous proteins. And next one is a globular protein. When the chains of polypeptides coil around to give a spherical shape, and these are soluble in water. For example, you can give insulin and albumins. So, globular proteins are soluble in water, and examples insoluble insulin and albumins, and they are in spherical in shape, okay. Structure and shape of the protein can be studied at 4 different levels. First one is the primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So, now we will study one by one in detail. First one is a primary structure of proteins. So, primary structure contains one or more polypeptide chains, and each chain has amino acids linked with each other in a specific sequence. This sequence of amino acids represents the primary structure of proteins, okay. What is meant by secondary structure of proteins? The secondary structure of proteins refers to the shape in which a long polypeptide chain can exist. Again, in secondary structure of proteins, we divide into 2 types of structures here. One is the alpha helix structure and second one is the beta pleated sheet structure. So, here this is very important to know. So, based on the shape and structure, we divide into 4 types. One is a primary structure, second one is a secondary structure, third one is tertiary structure, fourth one is quaternary structure. So, here what is mean by primary structure? Primary structures means the polypeptides, 2 or more than 2 polypeptide structures, having amino acids held together with each other in a sequence manner, in specific sequence manner. Okay, that is called the primary structure, means amino acids held together in a specific manner. Okay, in secondary structure, again we divide into 2 types of structures here. One is alpha helix structure and second one is beta pleated sheet structure. Okay, and here alpha helix means you can remember the DNA structure, right? Alpha helix, it looks like alpha helix, and beta pleated means like when you pleat the paper or even sari and all, when you pleat it looks like pleated. There that is called beta pleated sheet and alpha helix. We can see the structure now. See, that is the alpha helix structure and second one is the beta sheet. In alpha helix structure, you see the amino acids, that is a CO and NH group are linked. It is a bond is present between the CO and NH there. So that is what is the bond which is present between H and O, that is a red line you can see on the structure, that is called the hydrogen bond in alpha helix. Even you can see the same in beta sheet also. The bond which is present in N and O, that is a red line, that is called the hydrogen bond, and beta sheet you can see the fleeted like, right, and that's why it is called the beta fleeted sheet. Okay, this is all about the alpha helix and beta fleeted structure. Okay, that both will come under the secondary. Next one is the tertiary structure of proteins. The tertiary structure of proteins represents overall folding of the polypeptide chains, that is further folding of the secondary structure. It gives two major molecular shapes, namely fibrous and globular. The main force which stabilizes secondary and tertiary structures of proteins are hydrogen bonds, disulfide linkages, van der Waals and electrostatic force of attraction here. Quaternary structure of proteins means some of the proteins are composed two or more polypeptide chains referred to as subunits. The special arrangement of these subunits with respect to each other is known as quaternary structure. So, next one you can see the structure of the primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary structure. First one you see the this is a polypeptide chain and each amino acid is linked together in a specific manner. In secondary structure it is look like a alpha helix and beta fleeted sheet, right, and you can see the secondary structure, it is looking like a alpha helix structure, and tertiary structure means the further folding of secondary structure. So, you just see the secondary structure, you just fold that and that is next whatever it gives, it is a tertiary structure. Next one is a quaternary structure. Quaternary structure is having one, two or more polypeptide chains linked together here. In next picture you can see properly primary structure, what is blue color indicates as a carbon, okay, dark blue that is a violet, that is a hydrogen. In the secondary structure you can see the alpha helix structure, and in tertiary structure further folding of secondary structure, you just fold that secondary structure, you can see that is a tertiary structure there. And in quaternary structure you can see the two different colors, right, it means one color is one polypeptide chain and another color is another peptide chain, again both are combined there, that is a quaternary structure. Okay. So, next concept we will study about denaturation of proteins. What is mean by denaturation? It is very important to know what is mean by denaturation of proteins here. Proteins found in a biological system with a unique three-dimensional structure and biological activity is called a native proteins. When a protein in its native form is subjected to physical change like change in temperature or chemical change like change in pH, the hydrogen bonds are disturbed here. Due to this, globules unfold and helix get uncoiled and proteins loses its biological activity. This is called denaturation of proteins. During denaturation, secondary and tertiary structures are destroyed, but primary structures remain intact. Example, the coagulation of egg white on boiling and curdling of milk which is caused due to the formation of lactic acid by the bacteria present in milk. Okay. Proteins, denaturation of proteins means it is having some properties there. Okay. When you subject it, there the chemical change, the pH will change. Okay. And when we heat any of the protein, what happens? We studied till now about the structure of the proteins, right? Alpha, like secondary structure, it is having alpha helix and beta fleeted sheet, and even in quaternary structure and even in tertiary structure, okay, it's like a coiled, right, and it's like a alpha helix, right. Now when we when we heat the proteins, what happens, the structure, whatever the coiled structure and what is the beta fleeted structure, it become uncoiled there. Okay. And when it become uncoiled, the whole properties, whatever physical properties are, it will change. That is only called the denaturation of proteins. So suppose when you boil the egg, first liquid will be present before boiling the egg, right? When you boil, it will become a hard inside. That is, it means the protein structure will change. That's why it will become a egg white inside. Okay, that is a denaturation of the protein. Even it will happen in the curdling of milk, means curd. Even in curd, before curd means that is a milk will be there, right? And denaturation will happen in the milk. That's why it will form the next one, curd there. Okay. Now you just take a assignment here. First question is give an example each for acidic alpha amino acids and fibrous protein. Give each example for both. What is a peptide bond? How many peptide bonds are present in a pentapeptide? Okay, very carefully you have to write the answer for this. And third question is classify the amino acids based on number of amino groups and carboxyl group. Fourth one is define denaturation of protein. Fifth question is what is mean by essential proteins? Give an example. Sixth question is what is Zwitter ion? Write the structure of Zwitter ion of alanine. Okay. So this is all about the proteins. In next class, we will discuss about the enzymes and vitamins. Thank you. Sai Ram.